Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the wonderful world of virtual reality! I'm sorry, where are my manners? Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Rednaz, and if you know me, you know that I love a good VR game. But I think one of the biggest problems with VR gaming right now is that there aren't that many big enough standout titles to really make people want VR. And so that's why I took the liberty of scouring the deepest, darkest corners of the internet, looking for some of the best VR games that I could find that don't get nearly as much love and recognition as they deserve. You want to see what I found? Well, too bad, not until you subscribe! Because check it out, we are so close to overtaking Mr. Beast himself in subs. All I need is 232 million more people to click the subscribe button. We are so close. So without further ado, let's get right. Oh my god, what the fuck is that? Why, that, my child, would be kick.com/rednaz. 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 Oh, what is he doing? It's so grotesque. Who knows? Only you'll find out once you join his stream. Why are there so many racists and homophobes streaming on this website? It's a huge problem, but let's not talk about that right now. I'm trying to get a goddamn streaming contract. I think my balls just retracted back into my body. You're goddamn right they just did. What a classic side effect of an average kick.com/rednaz stream. Oh my god. Click the link in the description to make your way there right now. Who knows? He may be live at this exact moment. What is he doing? You'll never find out until you tune in for yourself. That's kick.com/rednaz. Join the occult today. No. Yes. 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 Yes. No. No. You can't. Yes. No. Oh my god, where am I now? Shut up and finish it. Who are you? Shut up and finish it. Finish what? I don't know. Finish, complete the task. Do it. The climb. Finish the climb. The climb is what I can only describe as a mountain scaling adrenaline junkie daredevil simulator. You can chalk your hands by pressing and holding the grip and jerking the controller around like a shake weight. And the more your hands are chalked, the slower you lose stamina while climbing, which of course lowers the chance of you falling to your death, which is pretty important, I think. And personally, I think it's a great game, and it's simple mechanics like these that make it so much more than what it originally lets on. It's these moments of panic when you're holding on with one hand, quickly running out of stamina because you forgot the chalk, about to plummet to your death, grabbing a breakaway rock that's 2.5 seconds from crumbling under your weight, or quickly sliding down a pipe, whipping your head back and forth, looking for a ledge to leap to before you slide all the way off. And those split-second reactions you're forced to make in these situations, like leaping to another ledge just in time, or barely catching yourself after losing stamina and nearly falling to your doom. That's the stuff that gives you that adrenaline rush, that dopamine shot, that, oh god damn, I'm the shit! And it was made by Crytek, you know, the guys who made it. So of course the game looks as if Jesus Christ himself just nutted inside your VR headset while you were playing. This gag wasn't worth it. It's almost relaxing in a way. With the calm atmosphere and a lack of a soundtrack, it puts you in this childlike state of bliss where you can't help but sit back and just admire the beautiful environments. And then you get to the second game and it's all like, oh my god, bad kitty, don't bite. Oh my god. How am I gonna get down from here? The Climb 2 really polishes up a lot of the rough edges of the first game. The graphics are nicer, the controls feel snappier and faster, there are more and better designed levels, except for these billboard sections in the city. I fucking hate these billboard sections in the city. While I think both games are great, I think they would also both appeal to slightly different audiences. The first game being a more cool and collected experience, perfect for VR newcomers who just want to get a feel for things, and the second catering to a more experienced audience with the arcadiness turned up with all these different moving parts, but both are definitely worth a try. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on these. Oh man, where am I now? Shut up, man, you're in an ancient dungeon! Despite having the most boring name I've ever seen, Ancient Dungeon is probably one of the most unique VR games I've played so far. It's a randomly generated roguelite dungeon crawler, which means no two dungeons are ever the same, you get new loot and abilities every time you play, and if you die, the run is over. You have to start all the way back from the beginning. One thing you'd never expect just from looking at this game is how much depth it has. Get it? Depth? Because
Because you're in a cave.
Everything just feels surprisingly high fidelity. You can cut through grass and vines, hit back projectiles at the enemies that shot them at you, block arrows with your swords, hit enemies off cliffs. I don't know how to explain it, but everything in this game just feels so smooth and interactive and immersive. Along with the randomly generated caves, there's an insane amount of items and power-ups you have a chance of picking up during your run, a huge variety of enemies you can encounter, and tons of secrets to uncover. And even with how much I've played this game, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of it all. This game also knows how to kick your ass, with 5 dungeons in total, with enemies getting harder and harder as you get deeper into the cave.
From little slime balls that jump around and poke you in the shin to glowing blue floating vaginas that shoot lasers at you.
Don't fuck with the shopkeep. And I don't even know what's going on in the last 2 dungeons because this game is so difficult, I can't get past the 3rd one! But despite how difficult this game is, I have to give it credit for doing one thing that not a lot of other VR games have managed to do yet, and that's have a ton of replayability. After every death, every misstep, I always have the strongest urge to just jump right back into a run and try again. The game is difficult, but not Souls-like difficult, where you want to smash your head into the wall and light your PC on fire after every game over. Most of the time, winning actually feels attainable and just within arm's reach, and it just feels like there's something drawing me back in, begging me to play again, and I can't resist it. This game has so much potential, and I can't wait to see where the developer takes it in the future. It's easily top 5 VR for me right now. I'm feeling a solid 9! A solid 9 on this game! Oh yeah! Solid 9! Strong 9! What are you doing in my house? Hello, neighbor! Search and Rescue!
Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue is a game that you didn't even know existed until about 10 seconds ago, but honestly, it's not even that bad. Instead of only having one protagonist, this game takes place through the eyes of 6 kids. One of them gets kidnapped almost immediately somehow, and 4 of them have to wander the neighbor's house looking for keys into the basement to find their lost friend, while the 6th one watches from across the street in their codename Kid Next Door's secret treehouse bunker. And I don't know about you guys, but I kinda like it. This shit is pretty good. One thing I really like about this game is the sense of scale that the neighbor's house has, without actually being this cartoonishly large behemoth of a homestead that gets progressively more and more annoying to navigate like there was in the first game. There's 4 sections of the house that are separated by big metal gates that the kids can't get through. So you're forced to switch characters a lot, shoving tools and keys through holes in the wall so you can come over with another kid, pick it up, and find out where it's supposed to be used. Is it just me, or would this game go crazy in co-op? I'm just saying. And honestly, I think it's a pretty good time. There isn't that much of a story or an atmosphere at all. For that matter, this game is not scary in the slightest, but the real enjoyment comes from exploring the neighbor's big ass house and completing puzzles, which are honestly pretty fun. And I'd be lying if I said I never messed with the art style of this game. Every single one that comes out gets more and more weird, cartoony, and Dr. Seuss-ish. I can't help but be charmed by it. If you don't want to pay the $30 price tag, which I agree is kind of steep for a game like this, I mean, you could just pirate it like I did, you know, between you and me. I'm not gonna pay for that bullshit either. What do I look like to you, a sucker? It's not the best way to spend an afternoon, but it's not the worst way either. And hey, you might not even regret it afterwards. Light 6. It's aight.
Huh? Who are you?
I'm sorry, but there's no time to explain.
What?
The kingdom has fallen. There's not many of us left.
Oh no!
Oh no, indeed.
Well, what can I do to help?
There's only one thing you can do.
What can I possibly do?
You must fight. You must fight until you fall!
Huh? Ah! Until You Fall is a great game for when you want to feel like a combat-trained, demon-slaying medieval badass. It's a roguelite based heavily on melee combat where you go through these levels, slicing through these tree demons. I don't know what they are. You can dual-wield swords and pick up power-ups at the end of every level to make your monster slaying that much easier. And the best part of this game for me is easily the combat. It's simple but effective. You use your sword to block incoming enemy attacks, and then
you just wail on them until they die. It's super satisfying to perfectly block all their attacks and then immediately launch into a combo that just destroys them. And every time you think you have the gameplay loop down, it introduces another tougher, faster enemy with more mechanics that just completely wipes the floor with you. But just like Ancient Dungeon, it's not too difficult, and it's so addicting you always want to jump right back into a run after dying. Winning never feels completely out of reach. If there's anything I could change or add to it, obviously more content, more maps, more enemies to fight, but I think making the combat a lot more dynamic would greatly increase the replay value. Instead of these little guidelines popping up telling you how, where, and when to block strikes from your enemy, I think leaving that up to the player would be a lot more challenging, but a lot more fun and rewarding. Having to actually physically connect your sword with your enemies in order to block and parry their attacks, like blade and sorcery or something, would add an insane amount of depth to the gameplay, like having to memorize the attack patterns of every individual enemy type, or having to plan out your attacks more thoroughly when there's multiple enemies in one area so you don't get fucking annihilated. The game is still amazing, don't get me wrong, but my greedy ass dopamine receptors still can't help but constantly think, more! I want more! Maybe these are ideas for a new update? Maybe these are ideas for a completely new and different game. Either way, it doesn't distract from the fact that this game is incredibly fun and easily a strong 8 for me.
Hey guys, look. I'm hell sweeping.
You ever wanted to play Doom VR? Ew, no, not that one. Ew, what the fuck? Welcome to Hellsweeper VR, baby! And guess what? It's another roguelite game. Can you tell how much I love VR roguelites? But what really makes this game stand out is the insane mobility. You can double jump, you can triple jump, you can dash through the air, you can slide, you can wall run, you can do a fucking front flip. This dude is like Doomslayer, but instead of going into the Marine Corps, he decided to take up fucking gymnastics. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this game kind of seems like the first of its kind, doesn't it? Like, I've never seen a VR game with movement like this before. Combine all that mobility with bullet time and being able to choose between a sword, a gun, and 3 types of magic to fucking obliterate any enemy you come across, and you have a pretty unique VR experience that I don't think I've seen anywhere else before. Now, it isn't perfect by any means. Your weapons and their upgrades leave a lot to be desired, the maps are kind of bland, and the gameplay can just get a teeny bit repetitive at times. Ironically, the biggest problem that I have with it is also the most fun part. It's the mobility. I don't know if I just suck at the game or there's something wrong with my VR controllers. Guys, it might be the controller. But after a while, the movement just started to feel really jank and annoying to use at times. But despite all that, I still think this game and this subgenre as a whole still has amazing potential, and I would really love to see more VR movement shooters like this in the future. With a little bit more polish, this would have easily been like a 7 or an 8 for me, but for now it's gonna be a strong 6, and we'll see what happens next with this game. What is this on my forehead? Femme Domination 2. I didn't download this. Oh my god, that is bright. What the fuck? Just a family-friendly road trip? Car broke down. I guess we could go stay in that big mansion over there. Knock, knock. Anybody home? Where am I? Help! Hello? Oh my god! I can fly! What the fuck? Someone get him an ambulance. That guy is dead. Oh, don't stop. I don't like McDonald's. Now this is just rude. Get him out of there! I gotta go. The guard dogs are out. You know, Steam isn't the only place to find great VR games. You know, Game Jolt, SideQuest, itch.io, all great places to find amazing indie VR games, like Out of Hand. In Out of Hand, you play as one of the aptly named hand people, and after narrowly avoiding being executed in the very factory you were made in, you have to use your massive arms and hands to sort of fling yourself through the factory like Gorilla Tag, but better. Platforming, bouncing, flying through levels, smashing through walls and evil robots, all on a quest to find the mad doctor that pushed you here in the first place. Yeah, that's really fun. I like this one a lot. The chaotic Gorilla Tag locomotion combined with all the other extra movement mechanics they added, like ground pounding and fucking flying. I really hope we get to see more games take advantage of the Gorilla Tag movement in the future, because if you ask me, this is the proper way to do a platformer in VR. Strong 8! Another great one is Time Stall. You're stationed on just the worst spaceship of all time that is almost entirely run by robots, so of course things go horribly wrong almost instantly. But the gimmick is that you can stop time, which of course you use to your advantage to make sure that nothing harms the completely oblivious captain who really shouldn't be piloting this ship at all. It's a cute but short little puzzle game that I honestly wish just had more content, but gives you a little bit of extra replay value by giving you challenges to go back and complete on every level. It's pretty decent, 6 out of 10. And another game that ended up being a lot better than I expected it to be was Iron Man VR. What I expected was, you know, an hour or two of content, a few levels to fly around in, maybe some targets to shoot at the most. But what I got was insanely satisfying flying, a surprisingly in-depth skill tree that lets you unlock and upgrade different weapons and abilities for your Iron Man armor, and not a bad story for a comic book game. I'll be honest, I avoided this game for the longest time, thinking it was going to be some soulless cash grab that I hated playing, but you can really tell there was a lot of love and effort put into this project. And okay, I'll say it. This game makes you feel like Iron Man! Strong 8! Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator VR is just FNAF 6 in VR, but it's good. Except for the Tycoon segments, which in my opinion are a bit of a missed opportunity because I would love to see how those would work in VR. It recreates every other aspect of the game almost perfectly. In the office, you can see animatronics crawling towards you in the vent, and it's genuinely unnerving to hear a noise or see something in the motion detection tab like a room or two away from you, then to switch off your fan and start whipping your head back and forth to make sure it doesn't start barreling towards you. And the salvage minigames are so atmospheric and unnerving. Like, if we don't get an official version of these minigames in Help Wanted 2, I mean, it won't be the biggest FNAF-related disappointment Steel was involved in, will it? Hi, this is rednaz from the future. This video took so unbelievably long to make that Help Wanted 2 is now out as we speak, and there are no salvage minigames at all, but that's not important because you know what you can do in that game? Play dress up with Roxanne Wolf, because that's what everybody wanted out of a Five Nights at Freddy's game. Thanks, Steel Wool!
What are you looking at?
If you don't shut the fuck up.
The video is getting boring. Speed it up, bad ass.
Oh shit, oh god, okay. Ah! Lightning round, let's go, 3, 2, 1! We got Angry Birds Isle of Pigs VR. It's cool and adds a little extra dimension, no pun intended, to the gameplay by letting you move around the map and shoot at different angles. I just wish there was more content, god fucking damn it! 6 out of 10. Fruit Ninja 2 VR, why am I reviewing 2 instead of 1? Cause 2 is better. Fruit Ninja Open World. You can walk around the big ass outdoor dojo and find different collectibles and mini games, some of which really take advantage of this being in VR instead of just being a straight up port of the original game. I like that. 8 out of 10. Shooty Skies Overdrive. Why are there so many VR ports of popular 2010s mobile games? This is okay, I guess. 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. Runner is an on-rails wave-based shooter where you zoom through the city on a motorcycle, shooting at police cars, bullet drones, sticking it to the man. There's so many weapons to choose from and controls to memorize. So many, in fact, that I was pretty overwhelmed by it at first. But despite all that, it starts to get pretty repetitive after a while. I would have loved it if there were more ways to interact with the environment, more obstacles you had to avoid, or different routes you could take rather than this main, long, windy road. But in its current state, for me, it's a 4 out of 10. Resist makes me upset because it's the closest thing we have to a VR Spider-Man game until Insomniac bosses the fuck up and makes one, and it kinda sucks. You constantly have these guns attached to your hands, which are awful and feel horrible to use, by the way. The map sucks, there ain't shit to do but swing around and shoot at flying robots, and I quit this game in like 20 minutes out of boredom. The only reason I'm actually talking about it instead of just straight up ignoring it is because of this section right here that's the closest thing we'll ever get to Power Wash Simulator VR. Wait a minute, Power Wash Simulator VR! 13 out of 10. Wait, CPR Simulator? Oh my god! 1, 2, 3, breathe, man! Population 1, it's not Fortnite, it's different. It's not the same game! Paradiddle, ew, I don't even want to download a game with that name. What the fuck? Out of all the games you can play in VR, I think it'd be extremely difficult to find one like Vertigo Remastered, and I'll tell you why. After driving up to a remote cabin in the woods, this happens, and you inexplicably find yourself teleported to a random, unfamiliar dimension. From there, you have to make your way to the surface, out of the Planck interdimensional quantum reactor, fighting off other aliens that have also found themselves teleported here, and stopping at nothing to find your way home. This game takes the Half-Life setup, a subterranean laboratory accidentally pulling in aliens from an alternate dimension who just start killing everything that they see, but turns it on its head by making you one of those aliens. It's short, sweet, and a little rough around the edges, but everything about this game just bleeds creative energy. It really has its own unique identity. The attention to detail, the visuals, the level design, just exploring the maps, walking around looking for extra health or ammo or secrets. At the start of the game, it gives you a portal gun to traverse the levels faster with, that kind of has the same mechanics and works in the same ways that the one in Budget Cuts does, which is another really underrated VR game that I didn't even have time to cover today. And when I tell you some of the best times I had with this game were just fucking around with that portal gun, doing crazy shit, falling off ledges and just barely pulling the portal over myself to land the teleport. Little stuff like that just makes this game a blast to play. Now, it's not perfect, alright? The levels can get a little bit repetitive sometimes, okay? And in the later levels of the game, it just loves to swarm you with enemies that you're supposed to fight your way out of, which isn't fun at all. And the gunplay does leave a little bit to be desired. I only found myself really using one or two main weapons towards the end of the game, as there was no real reason to switch to any of the other ones that I had. But despite all that, it's a short but sweet, immersive VR story game with great visuals, a sense of humor, and great gameplay. Easily a strong 8 for me, and I would recommend it if the sequel wasn't so much better. Vertigo 2 is a perfect example of peak VR gaming. It takes almost everything the first Vertigo did and improves on it tenfold. The graphics and art style are perfect. This game is genuinely breathtaking. One of the best looking and most cinematic VR games I've ever played in my life. And those visuals are heavily elevated by the set pieces and level design. The locations are so diverse. Every individual chapter, each taking you to its own little corner of this world, giving off its own unique feel while still having an overarching visual theme that really makes you believe that all these places coexist in the same universe, or universes, because, you know, it's multiverse. The creature design is impeccable. These are the most unique looking mobs I've ever seen in a game. One second I'll see a creature that makes me go, "Oh, aren't you just the cutest little thing? Come here, coochie coochie coo, look at you, let me pet your little cheeks." And then the next second I see something that makes me go, "What on God's green earth is this abomination that I see before my very eyes?" Also, this game's got tar jelly, yeah! Woo, 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 woo. Top 1 character of all time. Arthur Morgan ain't got shit on my nigga tar jelly. The gunplay is also greatly improved on, along with having like twice as many weapons as the last game did. Ammo is infinite, but after a few clips, it takes a minute for your BAM to regenerate more synthetic ammo, so you can't just spray reload over and over and over again to your heart's content. And this gives a ton of incentive to switch out your weapons more often. You know, that and the fact that there's a bunch more enemy types in this game, all with their own different weaknesses, so you know, running through levels hip firing with a shotgun isn't the most efficient course of action most of the time. Vertigo 2 feels like it's 3 times the size of the last game, 3 times the levels, 3 times the insanity, 3 times the general quality of the game. And while that means there's a lot more good to talk about, it also means there's a little more bad to talk about. The story is there, but like it's just so convoluted and overstuffed. Something about this guy Brian or whatever, something about old ancient elder gods trying to kill each other over the hypercube. I don't know. Not that it really matters anyways, because not understanding the story didn't take away any enjoyment from the actual game, but I would have greatly appreciated a story that's a lot less convoluted and easier to follow, but you know, maybe I just have Cro-Magnon brain, who knows. And while it is a lot longer than most other VR games, which I really appreciated, it does feel like you're getting what you paid for when you play this game start to finish. The pacing of certain levels leaves a lot to be desired. Some parts of the game feel like they go by in a heartbeat, while other parts feel like they last hours and hours and hours. I fucking hate this part on the boat! And the game loves to bombard you with random swarms of enemies that sometimes just laser you over and over again unforgivingly. Regardless, I fell in love with this game from the moment I started playing it and stayed in love until I finished it. This game is 18 chapters of non-stop action and absurdity, and it's among the most memorable VR experiences I've ever had in my life. The amount of creativity and ambition in this game is jaw-dropping. I've never seen another VR game like it. Did I mention it was made by one person over the span of 6 years? Like, somebody give this guy a game award or something. Or a fucking Xanax, because he probably needs it. And I don't believe this is a perfect game, because really, what game is perfect? But I do believe in the influence that I think Vertigo 2 is gonna have on the VR industry as a whole. The pure vision of what, oh my god, I'm gonna fuck this name up. Zach Tsiakalis Brown. Zach Tsiakalis Brown. The pure ambition and raw talent of Mr. Zalubo and what he was able to put into this game rivals that of massive AAA gaming studios. He's taken inspiration from all these different sources, and you can tell he wears his influences on his sleeve in this game. But what sets him apart is that he's able to take these influences and expand upon them and turn them into something new, unique, never been seen before. For a lot of people, for the whole industry damn near, Vertigo 2 is a great lesson in amazing game design, and I hope more people start taking note. The sheer scope of it, the amount of creativity and raw talent on display, and the amount of influence I think this will have on VR gaming makes this the best virtual reality game I've ever played. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Vertigo 2 will be the first and only game today that'll be receiving a perfect score of 10! Well. You see, I originally made this video because I always see people saying stuff like, there's not enough good VR games to play. I don't know what to play. There's nothing to play. So I put together this list of VR games that I play and honestly really enjoy to hopefully influence and motivate people to take a second chance on VR and start looking for more games that they might love. But you know, as I started working on this video more and more and I started putting more time into it, I think it became less of a VR recommendations and review video and more of a celebration of the VR games that I love so much. I firmly believe that virtual reality has enough potential to completely take over the next generation of gaming. I love the medium and I admire the creativity and dedication that some of these developers have and put into their game. And with the Quest 3 finally out, that opens up even more opportunities for cool things to be done with VR. And I simply could not be more excited for it. And I hope you are too. If you know nothing about VR and this video didn't get you interested in it or at least curious about it, I did my job extremely poorly. But for those of you who are already interested or have already bought a VR headset but haven't seen any games that have caught your eye yet, look again, dumbass! No, but seriously, there are so many cool experiences to be had in VR, so many different genres, cool developers, amazing IPs to choose from. You just have to know what to look for. And hopefully this video was enough to show you that, or at least push you in the right direction. And if I succeeded in doing that, then my work here is done. And I'd like to say thank you so much for watching my video. Even with all the games that I covered in this video, I still barely scratched the surface of the sheer amount of VR games that there are out there. So if you know any that you think I might enjoy and would be interesting enough to sit here and talk about and give a review of, feel free to leave them in the comments below because I would love to do a video like this again. Why not look below this video and leave some creator feedback, hopefully the positive kind, and subscribe if you want to see more awesome content like this. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have more Fem Domination 2 to enjoy. Bye-bye!
Goon session detected. The use of the MetaQuest 2 headset for goon sessions is highly discouraged. This product will now spontaneously combust. Thank you for using the MetaQuest 2.
Oh, crud.
Finger on the trigger. If a nigga wants some smoke, I let this chopper eat his liver. I came with the 38, I'm leaving with a body. If he try me doing sloppy, shooting at the bitch bottle like a wrong like
Keep going, I'm almost finished. Ah!